At a restaurant, MANHWA and MA were eating heartily, having even eaten several bowls. Xian Shishir, looking displeased, covered her nose and said, "It smells so bad, can this be eaten?" Zhou Fan still sat beside them, vacant-eyed. Meanwhile, on a mountain, there was a head of an antelope hanging at the entrance as a symbol. Qing Meng sat on a high place and complained, "Why is there always a disturbance from the talismanic powers during my cultivation recently?" He was extremely angry. If it weren't for the spiritual treasure, the power of these talismans would have succeeded by now. It seems it's time to break through to the tribulation stage. If I delay any longer, there might be problems. Suddenly, a giant eagle demon flew in to report, "Yang Tiandong has already entered the ancient Yuanzhou." It landed on Qing Meng's hand. "Do we need to continue chasing him?" He clenched his fists and replied, "Of course. I'll chase him down wherever he runs." Qing Meng gritted his teeth angrily. "If I don't tear him apart, I won't be able to relieve this hatred." He said furiously, "Yang Tiandong, I treated you like my own son, yet you betrayed me. I never expected to meet you just when I wanted to expand." Qing Meng ordered his subordinates below, "Send the order down, if any human sects inquire, say that Yang Tiandong betrayed me, and that's why I'm hunting him down." Upon hearing the order, the subordinates shouted, "Understood." Suddenly, a light flashed from the staff in his hand, and the talismanic power attacked again, causing the subordinates to exclaim in disbelief, "Damn! It's back again." He calmly said, "These little tricks aren't worth fearing." Meanwhile, Hanju was holding a magic book, his eyes bloodshot as he thought, "I wonder if the talismanic power has affected Qing Meng? It feels like a curse." He put down the magic book and looked at his social circle, feeling displeased. No reactions in the circle. Yang Tiandong was attacked by the demon beasts, and Qing Meng is in seclusion preparing for a breakthrough? Hanju's face darkened, and he worried, "This kid will definitely come looking for me once he's cornered. What if he comes? I've never fought anyone at the tribulation stage." A cold glint flashed in his eyes. "If I can't win? No, increasing cultivation to raise my realm is the best method." Meanwhile, Qing Meng was also restless. "I must speed up the process. I need to lay a good foundation before the tribulation." He suddenly stood up, waving his staff and shouting loudly, "Once I reach the tribulation stage, don't even talk about that bastard's life or death. Even if it's in the mortal realm, it will become my zombie." At that moment, in the northern state, the sky was dark and filled with fire. The demon beast sect fell into a deathly silence, with soldiers lying on the ground and blood everywhere. Su Qi looked around in surprise. "What's going on? Are they all dead?" After the demon lord left, Su Qi found an opportunity to escape the valley and return to the demon beast sect. But the elite forces of the sect had all perished, leaving only Su Qi, who had luckily escaped and was imprisoned in the dungeon, enduring daily torture. Su Qi's face turned pale as he suddenly realized, no wonder they haven't come for months, and the dungeon's restrictions are ineffective. They've all died. He looked up at the sky. Did my master see me suffering in the dungeon and take action? Su Qi's face was full of worry. But why didn't my master just bring me back? The vultures were happily pecking at the corpses. He suddenly realized and shouted loudly, "Wait. If the demon beast sect was destroyed by my master, doesn't that mean I can return?" Su Qi was filled with excitement. "It must be that my master wants me to undergo some trials on my way back. How thoughtful of my master." The little boy excitedly pulled up the cloak on the ground. "The road back is long, we can't rush, we need to see if there's anything valuable to take just in case." Putting on the cloak, Takai's eyes were full of malice. "If there are any living people, don't blame me for adding another knife." The little boy walked a bit and discovered something behind the ruins. Takai couldn't help but curse in surprise. Takai was surprised to find someone behind the ruins. There are still living people. Ko was holding a human head, turned to look at Takai, slightly puzzled. "Are you a disciple of the demon beast sect?" The little boy asked confusedly, "Who are you?" The person repliedly, "I was once a disciple of the demon beast sect." Ko painfully reminisced, "But I was expelled by my master for making a mistake." Many years have passed, and when I came back, I didn't expect the entire sect to be destroyed. Tukaya's face turned grim with suspicion. Does this old man want to rebuild the demon beast sect? No, I need to show him some authority first. The little boy began to focus his energy, with electric sparks flickering around. I don't want to stay here. Now that I am in the nascent soul stage, dealing with him shouldn't be a problem. Ko continued to talk about the past. I used my divine abilities to search for several days, but still couldn't find my master. I feel guilty for not being able to repay him. Takai was preparing to attack but seemed not to notice. It was hard to reach the tribulation stage and relieve my burdens. What should I do now? The little boy was so surprised that he nearly lost his composure. Tribulation stage? After a long time, Duko turned around and asked, So, do you know where my master's body is? Unexpectedly, Takai didn't attack him but attacked another direction. Duko was surprised but also grateful. Thank you for your kindness, but this method of searching is not right. At this point, Duko introduced himself. Oh, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Duko, and you? Takai replied and thought, I almost missed my chance. 7 years later, Han Tuet appeared with the powerful strength of the 7th layer of the fusion stage. The black-eyed chicken slept peacefully in the nest. Han Tuet looked at it and sighed, Little Black has gained weight again. Then he looked at Tuan Truong and sitting nearby, Tuan Truong and has generated more spiritual power after cultivation. He thought about his master. Master's aura has clearly transformed. Bringing Master here back then was indeed a wise decision. While thinking, Han Tuet noticed the system interface suddenly appearing. After reading the information on it, he sighed, everyone is really unfortunate. Chang Yuer and Jioding Jinren were also attacked. It seems things outside aren't peaceful. Luckily I didn't go out. Zhou Fan, can't you rest for a bit? After a year of hard cultivation, Ma Fuzhou finally left the Yuqing sect. At that time, Ma Fuzhou waved and shouted, Sect Master's younger sister, I've made my decision. Let's head back. Zhou Fan's face was displeased. Ma Zhume, go back and tell Han Tuet that I, Zhou Fan, will definitely defeat him next time, at least defeat the black chicken he raised. Ma Zhume cried and promised to remind them to ensure their safety. Li Qingzi, standing nearby, also warned, you two brats, don't embarrass the Yuqing sect outside. Han Jue was also thinking, the path of hard cultivation for immortality ultimately belongs only to a few contrarians, and stepping into prosperity and disputes is their end. But then he saw something different. A notification appeared on the system screen. Suchi has been severely injured, and the entire demon beast sect has been annihilated. Han Jue couldn't believe his eyes. The demon beast sect is gone just like that. Suchi is forever a god. Han Jue silently sighed, well, this is the force I feared. It fell before we even met. The demon beast sect lasted this long, at least it wasn't a wasted life. Kid Suchi, don't randomly call someone your adoptive father. How could the demon lord help him? Maybe the demon lord had this plan all along, using Suchi? It must be like this. He placed Suchi's portrait on the offering table. Suchi, I've decided to write you into the family tree. Han Jue was holding 3 incense sticks when he suddenly heard a loud voice, Husband, I'm back. Xing Hongchuan walked in with a troubled expression, her breath heavy. He turned around and saw her walking in weakly. Why the long face? Did they bully you outside? She answered simply, no. Xing Hongchuan looked guilty, her eyes were wet, and her voice trembled. I'm sorry, husband. It's too chaotic outside, and I couldn't find any treasure to bring back for you. Han Jue held her bruised hand and comforted her. It's fine, gifts don't matter. He pulled Xing Hongchuan closer and whispered, as long as you're safe, nothing else matters. Are your wounds okay? She pressed her lips together and softly said it was fine. Xing Hongchuan turned her face away, a bit embarrassed, and said, Husband, you still need to be more careful outside. Recently, there's a demon called Qingmeng, who is using the excuse of hunting traders to massacre human cultivators going out for training are all terrified. She looked at him with concern. Husband, do you think he will come to Dian? I heard he killed the enlightened elder, and the Wuxiang sect tried to encircle him but came back empty-handed. MANHWA lowered his head slightly, his face darkened, and he didn't speak. Then he walked over and hugged Xinghongchuan. Look, if he comes to Yuqing sect. MANHWA's eyes were filled with tenderness. If I can't defeat him, I will take you and run. Upon hearing this, a flash of affection appeared in her eyes. Just take me with you? Does that mean? A voice came from outside the mountain. Does this mean I've already entered your heart, husband? He answered confidently, it's been that way for a long time. Xinghongchuan, surrounded by love, happily said, then I'm relieved. MANHWA, standing beside her, asked in confusion, what are you relieved about? She asked joyfully, am I the only woman in your life? He joyfully replied, of course. Xinghongchuan walked closer and asked, really? MANHWA helplessly answered, what else could it be? She continued, when I came back, I found that recently. He looked a bit puzzled. But Xinghongchuan said, there's a cave dwelling more luxurious than my elegant residence, whose is it? Upon hearing this, MANHWA's face turned pale, and sweat poured down. He didn't dare to turn around, it's Shichuan Xianzi. I invited her here to facilitate her cultivation. Upon hearing this, her face was full of displeasure and anger. Does husband care about her a lot? MANHWA fearfully said, after all, he was once my master. Xinghongchuan gritted her teeth and asked, just the bond between master and disciple? He didn't answer, and she insisted, ask yourself. At this point, his face was so dark it was unrecognizable. In the main hall of Yuqing sect, the sect master of Wuchang sect, Li, is arrogant and has been defeated by Qingmeng, and even the demon lord hasn't shown up. It's unbelievable. Yuqing sect is your last hope. Everyone in the hall nervously nodded in agreement, yes, sect master Li. If we win, merging with our sect is also possible. Everyone was discussing, even if our sects combine, we might not be able to defeat Qingmeng. Yuqing sect still has a small chance. Seeing everyone discussing, Li Changzi stood up to calm them down. Everyone, don't be hasty. I've sent core disciples to explore the continents, and the vast domains require a lot of time. He continued, moreover, according to the information, they are heading to Gaiwanzu. Xirenzu is stronger than Dian and has delayed them for a while. Upon hearing this, everyone felt somewhat reassured. That's good, Xirenzu isn't weak. Old Law suddenly spoke. Their combined powerhouses are spread across the entire continent. As long as they don't encounter a stronger figure like in the Dujia realm, Qingmeng will definitely rage and swallow Jiuquan. A few elders angrily glared at him and shouted, Old Law, shut up. With a mouth that big, did your head fall off? Seeing everyone glaring, Old Law became somewhat scared. At this point, Li Changzi spoke with a pale face. Jiu Wang sect from Xiwanzu has sent news. Qingmeng's cultivation is already at the peak of the 9th layer of the Heady realm, and he plans to use Gaiwanzu as his tribulation site. He could break through at any time. Hearing this, the elders angrily shouted at Old Law. Meanwhile, Xinghongchuan continued questioning MANHWA. Is it just the bond between master and disciple? He still had a fearful expression, unsure of how to answer. Suddenly, MANHWA stretched his hand out to her, the men in this world. Then he pretended to be philosophical and said, having 3 wives and 4 concubines is normal. Look at the elders, who doesn't have a few partners? MANHWA continued, so you need to understand, in the future, I will have other partners. Hearing this, Xinghongchuan was shocked. But he still didn't forget to comfort her. However, if I had to choose who to marry first, I would still choose you. Looking at MANHWA's expression, Xinghongchuan covered her mouth and sighed in relief. Seeing you scared like this, I don't mind 3 wives. And 4 concubines. When you're in seclusion, I'll still have friends. Upon hearing this, he was horrified and quickly turned around. She couldn't help but excitedly rush toward him. So when will the little sisters come? I can't wait, I want to get close to them. Then Xinghongchuan also hugged him and warned, but I want to remind you of one thing, the most important thing, don't promise anything to those little sisters. He helplessly scratched his head in agreement. Outside, the black-eyed chicken and Zhu and Chang'an were eavesdropping with their ears pressed against the stone wall, showing a look of contempt. It's still better to be a cultivator. He echoed, if they were ordinary people, this would be a tragic battlefield. Soon, the two were blown away by the forbidden words from Han Jue and Xing Hongchuan's room. She said eagerly, come on, this time, let's be a little rougher. After hearing this, the black-eyed chicken and Zhu and Chang'an outside showed sly smiles. Suddenly, he shouted, ultimate skill divine sword. The two people were startled. Soon after, a force blasted the stone wall. He and the other person ran in fear. From the crack, Han Jue angrily shouted, are you dreaming? Xing Hongchuan blushed and struck an alluring pose, looking at him, husband, I'm going out for a walk. Keep up the good work on your cultivation. Then she leaned in and kissed him, while he looked worn out, as though a demon had drained all his energy. Han Jue sat down to cultivate, his body like a skeleton with no vitality. This Qingmeng is ferocious. I need to break through to the 8th layer of the combined body stage as soon as possible. While cultivating, he suddenly heard someone speaking intermittently, Master, don't go. He turned around in fear, what sound? Who else is here besides me? The voice continued, Master. Han Jue took his sword and went outside to investigate. The voice seemed to be coming from the pond. Outside, some growing earth and sky grass saw him come out and their eyes lit up as they shouted, Master. Then Han Jue pointed his sword at the flower pot and loudly shouted, where did this demon come from? Seeing the sword nearly touch it, the earth and sky grass screamed in fear. He looked down from above, his face full of intimidating anger as he shouted, how can you speak? The little girl stammered in panic, I don't know. The earth and sky grass, full of fear, still said, I think I've been like this for a long time. Many memories are starting to come back. Han Jue was a little surprised. These memories aren't disguised by immortal gods, are they? The little girl thought for a moment. No, I once had a master. I remember she sat beside me for a long time. He looked confused. Was it an immortal god sitting beside you for 100 years of cultivation, becoming transcendent under the influence of immortal energy? Seeing Han Jue sit down, the earth and sky grass hurriedly said, since I became aware, I thought she talked a lot. Luckily, she's gone now. He thought, it's not that she talks a lot, she's giving teachings. You really are blessed, but don't understand how to appreciate it. The little girl quickly said, wait, the later memories. I died many times, eaten, burned, drowned, but came back to life every time. Han Jue stared at her. Copper fire cannot burn it out, the spring wind blows in it. Grows again. The system had once mentioned that earth and sky grass could live for 10,000 years. He brought the flower pot into the cave, and the little girl, still worried that he didn't believe her, repeatedly said, many memories seem to have persisted for tens of thousands of years. You won't not believe me, will you? He replied, I believe. Long live the soul. Ah, no, the wild grass wasn't eaten by beasts, and its roots didn't break. You've really worked hard. The earth and sky grass was a bit afraid, but I'm nearly 100,000 years old. I remember there's a saying in the mortal realm, living that long must mean a great tribulation is coming. They say it's a death sentence with no rebirth. Hearing this, Han Jue couldn't hide his shock. 100,000 years of life and death tribulation. Is this the rhythm for transformation? He broke out in a cold sweat, thinking of forbidden techniques. The little girl looked at him with concern. You're my second master, you won't abandon me, will you? Before he could answer, the earth and sky grass lowered her head sadly and said, but the life and death tribulation is near. I'm afraid it will drag you down. Han Jue interrupted, saying it won't. He spoke gently to the little girl, don't worry, there will be a way. I'll give you a complete life. From now on, I will carry you with me. Hearing this, the little girl's face was full of joy. Master is so good. The system reminded, the earth and sky grass has developed a fondness for you, current affection level, 5 stars. Han Jue felt uneasy. Why does this feel a little wrong? At this moment, Xian Shishir, Mark Revenge, and Zhou Fan had arrived at Wuxiang sect. Looking at the scene in front of them, the three couldn't help but be surprised. Mark Revenge said, even though Wuxiang's sect is so strong, it can't escape the fate of being destroyed.